And thank you for Mabikas for inviting the Defend Panay Network. Hopefully after this conversation, we will be more aware or more knowledgeable of the situation, the human rights situation in Panay. So I think you will be sharing my presentation, Myra, and I will just turn off my video so that because of my signal is unstable.
The native of Panay.
First slide, please. Slide 2, please, Myra. Thank you. So who are the Tumandok people? The indigenous people, Tumandok, are one of the 100+ Philippine ethno-linguistic groups, and they are found living in Panay Island in Western Visayas. In Western Visayas, the word Tumandok refers to indigenous or native, someone who belongs to a place. It is also the self-ascription of a people who 4 generations before the Spaniards came have lived along the borders of Iloilo, Aklan, Capiz, and Antique provinces of the island. Their communities are found at the foot of the highest mountains of the island, Madjaas and Baloy, and along the headwaters of the island's major rivers, Halaur, Panay, and Aklan. Next slide, please. They are known for the detailed embroidery, their cultural management of traditional rice varieties, the ritual dance Binanog, and the 22-day-long epic Sugidanon, which depicts the story of their people and their worldviews. The Tumandok people are slash-and-burn farmers. Their major crops include the Bisaya rice. They also hunt wildlife, forage the forest, and fish in the rivers for food. Hunger and poverty is persistent in the Tumandok communities, with rice production characterized by decreasing yields. Incomes have also significantly decreased, with Tumandok families getting deep into debts with moneylenders who demand usurious interest rates per year. The far-flung communities do not have significantly functioning health centers, and school children have to trek to schools located kilometers away from their communities. Malnutrition is widespread among the children, and tuberculosis among the elderly. The main cause of grief among the Tumandok people, however, is the decades-long struggle for their ancestral lands against the Philippine government itself. Next slide, please. In 1962, next slide, please. In 1962, Diosdado Macapagal signed the Presidential Proclamation number 67, abrogating more than 33,310 hectares of ancestral lands as a military reserve for the armed forces of the Philippines. Camp Macario Peralta was established in Barangay Haina Norte, Hamindan, Capiz. Realizing the implication of the Presidential Proclamation, the Tumandok people's leaders worked to unite their communities in defending their ancestral lands. They ended their long-running tribal wars against each other and stopped paying the tumado, or land rent they were forced to pay to the Philippine Army. They also recovered idle pasture lands that were land grabbed by government officials and well-connected lowlanders. The Tumandok improved their traditional methods of cooperation while learning to produce other farm products to supplement their livelihoods. By the 1980s, majority of the Tumandok communities have established grassroots organizations of farmers, women, and youth. Different forms of cooperation to improve production continued, as did campaigns to raise the people's literacy numeracy, health practices, and other initiatives to improve their situation. Meanwhile, the Philippine government have launched intense military operations against the growing insurgency movement in the whole of island, including in the Tumandok ancestral domain. Human rights violations were committed against the Tumandok people. Many of their defiant tribal leaders were killed and beheaded. Houses and rice granaries were razed, burned to the ground. Valuable heirlooms stolen, Sweden areas and forests bombarded with mortars. Next slide, please. Notwithstanding the violent attacks directed against them, the Tumandok people persevered. In 1996, the Tumandok people formed their organization called Indigenous Farmers in Defense of Land and Life. They struggled against militarization, mining applications, large dams, among others. So what are the current challenges that the Tumandok people and their advocates are facing? Next slide, please. Here is a brief overview of what happened last December 30, 2020. At around 4 in the morning, 25 houses were invaded by combined forces of the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police. At daybreak, 9 men were found dead inside their homes. 16 others were arrested on the basis of weapons and grenades planted in their houses. 9 communities were left grieving in shock at the brutality of the attacks. Killed and arrested were community leaders and members of the Tumandok people. The 9 men murdered were also leaders of their organization, the Tumandok. They were the leaders who were most vocal against the militarization of their communities and against the Korean Exim Bank funded Haloo River Megadam project. The leaders of the Tumandok, the officers of the Tumandok organization were all tagged as terrorists by the Duterte government. What has happened since then? Next slide, please. Even as the communities try to recover from the trauma they suffered that fateful morning, military forces continue to occupy Tumandok communities. They're using daycare centers, barangay halls, and other public facilities as their headquarters. Advocates of the indigenous people and even those who just wanted to say the truth have suffered. The chief officer of the police crime lab was removed from his position when he publicly announced that 7 of the 9 murdered men tested negative in paraffin tests. On February 28, the local chieftain who witnessed the planting of evidence in the houses of his arrested constituents was gunned down. On March 3, one of the legal counsels of the arrested Tumandok was stabbed and left for dead by 4 men. His laptop and case files taken. Relief workers and CSOs have been ragtagged, and the communities warned against accepting help from them, thus hindering efforts to bring relief goods and other services into the communities. Next slide. Today, 10 months after the massacre, justice and peace remains elusive for the grieving families and communities. Military operations within and around the communities continue. Soldiers continue to spread the rumors that the December 30 massacre was just the beginning, just a taste of what's to come if they continue to protest or to continue to seek redress for their grievances. In Barangay Lahog, where the chairperson of the Tumandok was murdered, the whole community is under the watchful eyes of the soldiers who are deployed there. The family members, including the elderly and very young children who have witnessed the murders of their fathers, husbands, sons, brothers, have not undergone any psychological debriefing for trauma. Even the food production activities in the communities have suffered. Many families are too afraid to go back to their farm areas. Latest production reports from the communities show that there is a decrease in rice production by almost 50%. This means that the communities will face food scarcity on top of the continuous terror that the soldiers sow among the people. Next slide, please. Amidst all these challenges, the Tumandok people and their advocates strive to overcome. Advocates of the Tumandok people from the church sector, the legal profession, national and international CSOs, other people's organizations, the media, and even members of the local governments continue to do what they can. Advocates have extended legal services to the incarcerated 16 Tumandok members, given sanctuary to family members of those slain, have raised funds for food relief and medicines. They are also instrumental in ensuring that the truth of who the Tumandok people are and what really happened last December 30 exposes the narrative of lies and misdirections being peddled by the perpetrators of the massacre and evidence planting. The road ahead is long and fraught with danger and difficulties, both for the Tumandok people and their advocates, but we continue to do what we can. We continue to amplify the Tumandok people's cry for justice. We continue to demand accounting for the deaths of the 9 Tumandok leaders. We continue to demand that the AUFP and PNP must cease from terrorizing the Tumandok communities. We continue to demand that attacks on rights defenders and Tumandok advocates be stopped and condemned. In closing, last slide, please. And with that, let me end with this quote from one of the elderlies of the Tumandok people, Lola Elena Gardose, and this lovely painting from renowned Panay revolutionary Roger Felix Salditos, whose poetry and paintings celebrate the lives, history, and struggles of the Tumandok people. Thank you. Maraming salamat.